It is my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Ms. Khyati Dwarkadas, a veteran educator with 25 years of experience, serving as head of department at Gopi Birla Memorial School. Recognized as an innovation ambassador by the Ministry of Education, her forward-thinking pedagogy has garnered accolades, including the Rotary International Presidential Citation for Community Service. Ms. Khyati is the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including the Lifetime Achievement Award and Innovative Head of Department Award from Education World, the Sushma Swaraj Women Icon Award for Women Empowerment, and the Acharya Chanakya Shikshavid Samman Global Teacher Award and the International Teachers Guild Award. Ms. Khyati is not just an educator but a visionary leader, catalyst for change, and beacon of excellence in education. Hearty welcome, Ms. Khyati. The stage is yours. Please proceed.
A very good evening to Dr. Salam Biju sir and to all the participants. I welcome you all to today's training from Extra Mile Education and Training, and let us waste no time and immediately begin with the presentation. Just allow me to share my screen and we shall start. All right. Just a moment.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hope
Yes.
sir is busy in driving. That is the reason why I am not disturbing him.
Okay,
Salam.
no issues, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely no issues.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to start with asking a question to all the participants. Please feel free to answer in the chat box anytime that you wish to answer. What do we understand by assessment? What do we understand by assessment? Learning outcomes? Is learning outcome and assessment the same? To check the level of students, understanding, evaluation of understanding, measuring child's learning capacity, measurement of attainment of learning outcomes, level of understanding, something to evaluate, a systemic process of gathering information, data, evidence to evaluate skills, knowledge, abilities. Beautiful, Jaya ma'am. To prepare them for the next level. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end this chat right now and we'll proceed. So assessment is basically a measure of performance in a classroom. It could be a test. It could be an exam. It could be a selection tool. It could be a check of progress. It could even be a professional accreditation. And it can be all of these and more. So basically, it depends on for whom we are assessing, what is the purpose of which this assessment is being conducted. And a high-level assessment is a process which measures something with the purpose of assigning a value to it, like a mark, a grade, a rubric, anything. Okay. So, now the purpose of CBSE end of class assessment. So we have these two basic assessments at CBSE. One of these is formative and one is summative. Now, when we see a formative assessment, it is something that we are continuously doing in our classes. These are your periodic tests, multiple assessments. These are the unit tests or weekly tests, daily small tests, diagnostic tests, remedial tests. They could be even portfolios, subject enrichments, anything. These are low stake tests which aren't certificated and are used to help students to understand how well they are performing. They are also used to allow teachers identify where more support is needed for, as well as bridging the learning gaps. But when we do the term end assessment, it is a summative assessment and it shows how well students are mastering the CBSE curriculum, the NCRT curriculum, and CBSE syllabus content at the end of the class. The results can be compared with those of class peers in a summative assessment. Now, in an assessment, we have a couple of key terms that we are dealing with. It's assessment, which is the process of measuring something with a purpose of assigning a numerical value. The purpose of assessment is primary reason for which the assessment exists and what the results will be used for. Every assessment must have a purpose, must have a validity, must be reliable and manageable. So when we talk about validity, how well a test measures what it purports to measure. When we talk about reliability, how far the results of an assessment are repeatable. Manageability, how feasible it is for the designed assessment to be administered. Now, when we talk about validity and reliability, in particular, does validity check the assessment scheme measure what it says and it measures? Are the inferences drawn from a candidate's performance? And any decisions based on these inferences reasonable and fair? And reliability is consistency of measurement. So if a candidate took a different version of the assessment, perhaps on a different day, perhaps marked by a different marker, would they still be getting the same outcome? That is reliability. And there is one very famous example from Einstein that I remember right now. I think it was Einstein, but it may be another educationist as well, where they said that if you administer the same test to a different group of students and you still get the same result, the assessment is reliable. So there is a possibility that students may change, answers may change, and that is also testing competencies. So here is a quick illustration on validity and reliability of an assessment. You can see in the first board, neither reliable nor valid, the arrows have gone all over the board. Reliable but not valid because all the arrows are around, beating around the bush, but in a particular direction. And reliable and valid, it is all bullseye. An unreliable assessment can never be a valid assessment as it cannot measure what it intends to measure. So measuring an assessment is equally important. Now, maintaining validity. Validity needs to be built into exams by good practice in design and construction process. Assessment is a process, the purpose of which is to make decisions about the future of each person assessed. If those decisions are to be valid as possible, then every sub-process that leads to them must also be as valid as possible. And validity can only be lost and cannot be put back in once it is lost. So if we all remember, post the pandemic, during the pandemic, there was 1 year when CBSE had used reliability and validity of assessments without conducting a board exam in the pandemic and promoting students. And there was a statistical formula given to moderate the scores based on the school's performance in each subject in the past couple of years. So if all of us have been through that, we are well aware of this particular system of maintaining validity and reliability. Reliability, factors affecting reliability, level of sampling the domain. How much can you assess? If it's a 10-mark test, you can't assess 5 chapters. Nature of the task. How constrained is the task? Are you going to be giving reading comprehensions on long questions, or what are you going to be doing? Level of guidance for assessors. What is the quality of the marking scheme and training for assessors? And what is the kind of quality of assessors that we are moving? How conscientious are they? And how well do they know the subject? So if we have been observing the latest pattern of CBSE sample papers, we are now seeing that our assessment pattern is moving towards greater reliability and validity, particularly in subjects of science and social science, where you may be seeing a subject-wise breakup in the paper pattern. This is also going to be talking very highly towards the quality of assessors. So there is going to be a shift, which is a visible shift in the assessment pattern. So remember, an assessment can be deemed reliable, but it may still not be valid. An assessment which is not deemed reliable cannot be called valid. This is a very important point when it comes to assessment. And the next thing we spoke about was manageability. There are a lot of factors which work towards manageability of assessment. The nature of the task, length of the assessment, flexibility of timing of the assessment. Is it on demand or is it a fixed session? So on-demand assessments are where CBSE is trying to be progressing in the next couple of years. Currently, we are at the fixed session assessment. There's a timetable provided, a date sheet, and an assessment is held on a particular date, on a particular timing, within those stipulated hours. Flexibility of the assessment, equipment needed. What would be needed for the assessment? Administrative requirements. How many invigilators, evaluators, center superintendents, observers, evaluators, volume of students, and the logistics. So when we see the kind of assessments we are into, if you're in a school-based assessment, you know that the level is much more manageable than when you're comparing it with a cluster-based assessment or a group school-based assessment, or if you're doing it at the CBSE level, which requires greater manageability. Obviously, these factors are going to bring in challenges. So assessment, which is balancing the competing demands to meet the purpose, needs to be reliable. How far the results of an assessment are repeatable. A reliable assessment must be valid. How well a test measures what it purports to measure. And a reliable and valid assessment must be manageable. How feasible it is for the designed assessment to be administered. If you notice, arrows are going in both directions. A manageable assessment must be valid and reliable. A valid assessment must be manageable and reliable, but a reliable assessment must be valid and manageable. And these are the true challenges of creating good assessments. And when we talk about teaching and assessment, now you will see the arrows come from two directions, but they head on to one strong direction: competencies. The subject. What is important about the subject? If you've seen our previous question framing, paper design, design of QP trainings, you will have realized that there are those two important questions we ask ourselves before framing a question. What is important about the subject? Which concept do I wish to test? And which skill do I wish to test? Skill is, what do I want the children to know? What do I want the children to be able to do? the subject and the competency, two things that we are testing in every assessment. Subject is the content, what is being taught, and what the students are expected to be able to do, the learning outcome. To test the learning outcome, you should know the pedagogy, how the content is being taught. And for the content, you need assessment objectives, what skills are being assessed. And finally, what students can demonstrate they know and can do in an assessment. That is the competency. What do you want the students to know and what do you want them to be able to do? Two very important questions that an assessment must answer. So the relationship between teaching and assessment, you cannot be teaching ABC and testing XYZ. What you teach needs to be aligned with what you are testing. Assessment should be aligned or should be assessing what is being taught. And teachers tend to teach what is being assessed. So if you notice, a week before the assessment, particularly term and assessments, normally most schools give a week or 10 days as revision time. And you will see 100% attendance in the class because teachers tend to teach what is being assessed and students obviously are smart enough to understand that whatever is being revised is going to come in the paper. So that is not the relation that we are looking forward to. We have to assess what the students have been taught, not what is being revised, or you don't teach something which is going to be in the paper. You teach all the concepts and test the important ones. There is a danger that it is not possible to assess all of the important aspects of a subject in a way which is valid, reliable, and manageable. So what might be the consequences in this case? There is most likely to be a mismatch if pedagogy and learning outcomes are not aligned with assessment objectives and content. Therefore, when I showed you this, you see this every single thing, subject matter, content, learning outcomes, pedagogy, assessment objectives. They're all aligned with the competency you're trying to assess. So then what do we mean by a competency? This is a very important question. Many of us do not know what are competencies. And there are many, many definitions of competencies available if you Google them. So each country and type of qualification may apply a different meaning. For example, in the UK, competency is mostly used in vocational qualifications related to trades, where it is taken as mastery of a set of skills needed to do a task in a job. And the student is often assessed as either competent or not competent. For NCERT, it has taken more broadly as how well a student can demonstrate learning outcomes related to a set of content defined by the CBSE. And the consequence is that the NCERT curriculum has to be matched to the relevant CBSE syllabus content to define what can be assessed. So this shift of competency-based assessment, you would have observed in your curriculum over the past few years, that the NCERT curriculum and the CBSE learning outcomes have now been aligned. The pedagogical strategies have been aligned. Even the assessments, the competencies that need to be tested have slowly been aligned to the curriculum we are currently teaching. When we come to National Curriculum Framework for School Education 2023, we come across key principles and assessment philosophy in that, which is a very important measure to what we are planning to cover under competency-based assessment. So they talk about holistic development in the NCF, which emphasizes development of the whole child, integrating cognitive, emotional, social, physical growth. Assessment practices must reflect this comprehensive approach by evaluating students across multiple domains rather than focusing on solely academic achievement. So this is also showing you where the HPC comes in from. This principle recognizes that true education extends beyond subject mastery to include character development, cultural awareness, ethical reasoning that prepares students for citizenship in a diverse, interconnected world. NCF is also showing us how curriculum goals are being aligned to the competencies and the learning outcomes. So it's a competency-centric approach in the NCF. Moving beyond rote learning, the framework prioritizes the development of essential competencies, including critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, and problem solving. These skills serve as the foundation for lifelong learning and adaptability in a rapidly changing global context. Assessment strategies must provide multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate these competencies through varied formats, including project-based learning, peer collaboration, and community engagement activities. And finally, we come to the cultural rootedness of the Indian knowledge systems, which the NEP and NCF strongly emphasize. If you've noticed the new textbooks that have come up to grade 8, all of them speak very heavily on cultural rootedness. The framework emphasizes importance of connecting learning to local contexts, traditions, and indigenous knowledge systems while maintaining global perspectives. Assessment practices should value and integrate diverse cultural expressions and ways of knowing. This approach ensures that education remains relevant and meaningful to students' lives, experiences, while preparing them to engage respectfully with diverse communities and perspectives throughout their lives. And you are currently understanding that the NCF SE represents a significant departure from the previous frameworks, NCF 2005, NCF 2022, which was only for the FS, and explicitly prioritizes formative assessment, student voice, culturally responsive pedagogy as essential components of effective education systems. So this also talks about the entire NCF in a nutshell. What is NCF philosophy and assessment pattern? At the same time, we need to understand what is the holistic progress card. It is a 360-degree multi-dimensional report of progress, and that reflects in detail the progress as well as uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, socio-emotional, and psychomotor domains. It is a shift from a primarily summative rote learning, memorizing skill to one that is more regular, formative, and competency-based. It promotes learning and development for children and evaluating higher order skills like analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. So instead of now calling something as generally a generic report card, we're having a holistic progress card because our focus is on holistic development of the child. And only when you take a 360-degree holistic development should you be able to be having a valid, reliable, and measured development. So the objectives of the HPC or the holistic progress card, it helps to map the status of each child's learning for foundational literacy and numeracy because that's where it starts from. It focuses on the uniqueness of each learner. It tries to present a picture of students' progress and provide evidence as well as an opportunity to a child to present his or her growth in the progress review over the years. So when we are checking this progress review over the years, child presenting his or her growth, what is that one word we come across? If you'd like to share in the chat, I have opened it. When we are particularly talking about child presenting his or her growth over the years, what is that one thing we are talking about? Absolutely, Sarita ma'am. It is the portfolio. Congratulations. So that's one thing which we've again discussed on numerous occasions on this platform, that basically it is the portfolio which the child creates in the lower grade and is carried forward to the last grade the child passes out from. It is a child's life work which is even used for university applications and for job applications. And to document a child's own expression of self, as well as the teacher's assessment of the child based on competencies, we will also be using the HPC for it. And it will form an important link between the home and school. And by using the HPC, you're making the parents an integral part of a child's learning process. We've seen that over the years, parents believe that the child goes to school, so now it's the child's responsibility. But CBSE is trying to make all stakeholders equally responsible in the growth of the child, growth and progress and development of the child. So, besides the teachers, the child, the peers, as well as the parents are now being involved in tracking the growth and development of each child. All right. So features of the holistic progress card, it is participatory, inclusive, based on a learner-centric approach. It includes self-assessment, peer assessment, parental feedback. It assesses through project-based, inquiry-based learning, quiz, role play, group work, portfolio. Everything is assessed and recorded in the HPC. Excuse me. Explicit learning outcomes are defined, which are pathways for competency acquisition. Approach to developing skills among children is progressive. It builds on self-awareness and self-esteem by communicating the strengths and areas of improvement. It provides space for children to learn at their own pace. And it is based on simple 3 developmental goals: health and well-being, effective communicators, and involved learners. Just 3 developmental goals. So if you've seen CBPs that come in lately at CBSE, they focus on health and well-being as well. Communication has always been a priority, and engaged and involved learners is what we would create after we undertake trainings like these on a regular basis. So when we are talking about assessment, we're transforming assessment from mark-based assessment or evaluation to a holistic competency development aligned with the NEP vision. In the Indian context, the focus becomes real examples from the classroom, subjects. So we're connecting subjects not only as what the textbook wants them to be, but also to the daily life of the student and the cultural context for effective implementation. Assessment should be competency-based, promoting learning and development for our students, providing extensive feedback on learning and development of our children. This one quote I have taken from the NEP. When you look simultaneously at the holistic progress card and its components, there is a progress from beyond just academic skills. You have cognitive development, which includes the critical thinking, analysis, creative problem solving, memory and retention at a basic level, but metacognition, which is reflective thinking. Assessment includes portfolio reviews, self-reflection essays, peer evaluation, thinking processes demonstrated through project work and collaborative learning experiences. When you talk about environmental consciousness, we are always talking about sustainable development. So we also need to start talking about environmental consciousness, which talks about sustainable practices, ecological understanding, conservation initiatives, climate change awareness, which are assessed through environmental action projects undertaken by the students, sustainability audits, community garden participation, and research presentations on local environmental challenges and solutions. When we talk about physical wellness, we are talking about motor skill development, health and nutritional awareness, team sports participation, stress management techniques. How are these evaluated? Through fitness assessments, health project presentations, team participation rubrics, self-monitoring logs that track physical activity and wellness goals. When you talk about SEL or social emotional learning, it is self-awareness and regulation, empathy and relationship skills, responsible decision making, and cultural sensitivity. How do we test this? Evaluated through observation rubrics, community service projects, conflict resolution scenarios, collaborative group dynamics during extended learning experience. Coming to communication skills, we are able to see multilingual competencies, digital communication, public speaking confidence, active listening abilities. And these are assessed through presentations, peer feedback, multilingual storytelling, digital content creation that demonstrates effective communication across various mediums and audiences. And finally, you have creative expression, which is the artistic and musical abilities, innovation, originality, design thinking approach, cultural artistic traditions, documented through artistic portfolios, performance assessments, creative project documentation, community art exhibitions that showcase student growth over time. So the HPC represents a comprehensive documentation system that captures the entire spectrum of student development, moving beyond the traditional academic metrics to include essential life skills, competencies that prepare students for success in an interconnected, rapidly evolving world. So talking about NEP and the assessment and the paradigm shift in assessment, what have we done? We've moved away from traditional to transformational assessment. What did we do away with? Mark-based evaluation. We used to only have a sole mark-based evaluation. We've done away with it. Our entire focus in the traditional approach was only rote memorization, which has moved out. One size fits all testing has also been done away with. High stakes examinations have been done away with. We also include internal assessment scores. And subject isolation has also been done away with. Now we have the flexibility of no silos as well as interdisciplinary learning. So the vision of NEP 2020 that we have seen in the develop in the last 5 years comes with competency-based evaluation, conceptual understanding, personalized assessment, continuous evaluation, and interdisciplinary learning. This is the paradigm shift of complete transformation. Now, when we talk about assessment strategies for competency development, we start simply with performance tasks, which are real-world challenges requiring application of knowledge and skills in authentic context and scenarios. We have observational assessment, which is the documentation, a very systematic documentation of student behavior, participation, skill demonstration during learning activities, project-based evaluation. So comprehensive assessment of student learning through extended investigation, creative problem-solving projects, and portfolio assessment, curated collections of student work, demonstrating growth and achievement across multiple competencies and time periods. Not today's work, tomorrow. It is the lowest grade to the highest possible grade. So it is a curated collection. It is the best work of the student. So a very simple example that I have placed here. Instead of testing if a grade 8 student can memorize the formula for compound interest, assess if they can calculate the best saving plan for the family's Diwali shopping, explaining their reasoning and demonstrating financial literacy. So you're not only testing a concept, you're testing its application in real life scenarios. So understanding HPC, we've already spoken about the comprehensive tool that the HPC is. The key domains that HPC deals with: subject knowledge and understanding in the cognitive domain, critical thinking, problem solving, and application. The affective domain talks about values, ethics, SEL, cultural appreciation, environment consciousness. And the psychomotor domain talks about physical skills, creative expression, practical application, hands-on activities. So right now we are all practicing Swachhata and Swachh Bharat, a project on Swachh Bharat. HPC would assess not just knowledge on cleanliness, which is a very theoretical knowledge, but also students' commitment to environmental values and the participation in actual cleanliness drives. Automatically, you would be checking a holistic development of the child. Core competencies framework. Currently, through the NEP, we have learned there are 8 core competencies that are being evaluated or assessed. Learning to learn, becoming metacognitive thinkers, self-directed learning abilities, working on reflective practices, communication, effective expression in multi-language. Somebody needs to mute. Thank you. Effective expression in multiple languages, including regional languages. Critical thinking, analytical reasoning, and evidence-based decision-making. Creativity and innovation, which talks about original thinking, creative problem solving. Collaboration, working effectively in diverse teams and communities. I think someone's unmuting purposefully. Nasreen ma'am, I am muting you. All right. Then you have critical thinking, which is the analytical and evidence-based decision-making. Creativity and innovation, original thinking, creative problem solving. Collaboration, when you're working effectively in diverse teams and communities. Now, when we talk about diverse teams, we don't make group projects where students join their friends, but normally teachers would be expected to make groups with diverse learners. A group should never have only the better ones or only the weaker ones in a group, but all kinds of learners should be in a group. And the group should not be very large. Again, they should be manageable. Global citizenship, understanding diverse cultures and global perspectives. Scientific temper, this year is the year of STEM education, so evidence-based thinking and inquiry mindset. And finally, you have constitutional values of democracy, equality, justice, and secularism. Now, when you talk about examples of competencies, I will start with my own subject, social science. In a project of social science about Indian freedom struggle, students demonstrate critical thinking, by analyzing different perspectives on partition, communication by presenting in Hindi, English, or a regional language, any one of the three language formula of the NCF, global citizenship by comparing with other independence movements worldwide. So this we are already doing in grade 10, where you have the Indian freedom struggle, you have freedom struggles of Europe, and in grade 9, they've learned about France, they've learned about Russia, Germany. So they're able to compare and understand the differences. Now, when we look at subject-wise competency assessment, we talk with languages. Other competencies involved in languages would include reading comprehension, creative writing, literary appreciation, and emphasis on multilingual communication. And the HPC assessment would include portfolio of the writing material, oral presentation, peer discussion. Coming to math, the competencies would include mathematical reasoning, computational thinking, problem solving, pattern recognition, real world applications. The holistic progress card assessment would include problem solving, portfolios, mathematical investigation, and peer teaching. In science subjects, the competencies would include scientific inquiry, experimental design, evidence-based reasoning, environmental awareness. And the HPC assessment would be lab reports, science fair or science exhibition projects, field observations. Coming to social sciences, the competencies would include historical thinking, civic participation, geographic reasoning, cultural understanding, deep rooted into the Indian cultural system and global citizenship. HPC assessment would include research project, community surveys, heritage documentation. So when we talk about this particular subject-wise competency assessment, we should understand and look across examples from math, science, language, arts, etc. Mathematics would deal with numerical literacy and problem solving. Like a student in grade 5 would design a school garden layout, calculating area, perimeter, resource allocation, while considering budget constraints and plant spacing requirements. This authentic task assesses mathematical reasoning, spatial understanding, and practical application skills. The competencies that you're checking in such a task: reasoning, computational fluency, geometric understanding, interpretation of data, real world problem solving in real time. Students demonstrate mastery through multiple representations, including visual models, written explanations, peer presentations, and it is also having fun when you're designing a school garden. So you imagine what hands-on experience. In case of science, you're talking about scientific inquiry, environmental stewardship. So a grade 8 student investigates local water quality by collecting samples, conducting pH tests, analyzing data to propose community solutions. This project integrates chemistry concepts with environmental science and civic responsibility. Now, water is a very important concept. But we have seen in the past students taking on soil testing also. Competency is evaluated, scientific method, application, data collection, analysis, hypothesis formation, environmental awareness, evidence-based reasoning. Assessment includes lab reports, community presentation, peer review processes. So whenever you're doing a group project, always call for peer reviews. This will involve the entire class into paying greater attention, focus on the presentations being made. When you talk about language arts, communication, and literary analysis, you're talking about students creating multimedia storytelling projects that incorporate local folklore, conducting interviews with community elders, presenting findings through various formats, including podcasts, written narratives, dramatic performances. And what are you evaluating? Which competencies? Reading comprehension, writing proficiency, oral communication, digital literacy, cultural understanding, creative expression. Assessment considers both process and product through portfolio and reflection journals. There are also cross-curricular connections. The most effective competency-based assessments break down artificial subject boundaries, allowing students to see an interconnected nature of knowledge and skills. And these integrated approaches mirror real-world problem-solving scenarios where multiple disciplines converge to address complex challenges. So you were doing a project in geography on water conservation in Rajasthan, which is an arid region. The history teacher may take on traditional water systems in the country. A science teacher may take on water cycle or even water as we took from the science example. A mathematics teacher would take on water usage calculations, and the languages would take up interviewing local communities in Rajasthan in Hindi or any particular Rajasthani language or dialect. So you see a cross-curricular connection on a simple project, water conservation. When you talk, now we have understood that it's not just the core subjects, it's all subjects being integrated. So art education also has its own competencies. Creative expression, cultural appreciation, aesthetic sensibility, technical skills. HPC assessment takes on art portfolios, cultural performances, collaborative projects, self-reflection journals. When you are doing physical education competencies, you're talking about physical fitness, sportsmanship, leadership, team collaboration, health awareness. HPC assessment talks about fitness tracking, game leadership roles, sports analysis, health project presentations. Vocational skills and competencies talks about practical skills, entrepreneurship, digital literacy, problem solving in real world contexts. HPC assessment talks about project-based work, skill demonstration, innovation challenges, internship reflections. Value education as a very important subject now. The competencies include ethical reasoning, emotional intelligence, social responsibility, spiritual awareness. And it also takes up the HPC assessment like community service projects, ethical dilemma discussions, mindful practices or mindfulness practices, and peer mediation. So when you're talking creative arts, physical education, and you're trying to measure expression and wellness competencies, it's all tried to be fit onto one slide to give you a comprehensive understanding of the whole. The portfolio-based evaluation, students maintain these comprehensive portfolios in visual art assessment. And the creative process of documentation, technical skill program, cultural art form exploration, artistic risk-taking and innovation would obviously come under the measurement of competencies. With the visual and performing art, you also have music. So performance and composition, students demonstrate musical competencies through individual and ensemble performances, original compositions, music analysis projects that connect to cultural traditions and contemporary expressions. And here you are measuring musical literacy, performance skills, collaborative musicianship. So you have a school band, a school orchestra, a school choir. Cultural understanding, creative composition abilities. Assessment includes self-evaluation, peer feedback components like rhythm and melody mastery, ensemble, collaboration skills, cultural music appreciation, original composition creation. Physical education and holistic appreciation. Now, here, what are you looking at in wellness integration? It's beyond physical fitness to include nutrition, understanding, stress management technique, team collaboration, personal wellness, goal setting, and achievement. Competencies, physical fitness, team cooperation, leadership, health, knowledge, personal responsibility for wellness. It includes self monitoring, goal setting components, fitness goal achievement, team leadership and cooperation, health and nutrition knowledge, stress management. So, when we look at two things now, integrated art assessment, an example here could be celebrating our heritage project, where grade 6 students research traditional art forms from their regions, learning techniques from community artists, and create contemporary interpretations that reflect both traditional methods and personal expression. And the assessment evaluates technical skills, cultural understanding, research ability, community engagement, creative innovation while connecting students to their cultural roots and encouraging artistic expression. So, if you notice, with giving an idea about the assessment for every subject, we are also showcasing how we are going to assess it in the HPC. When you talk about the physical wellness portfolio, students maintain digital wellness portfolios, documenting fitness goals, nutrition choices, physical activities, and reflection on personal growth. They track progress through photos, videos, written reflections, demonstrate understanding of a healthy lifestyle and the correct choices that they are making. Assessment includes peer fitness partnerships where students support each other's goal, creating accountability and collaborative learning environments that extend beyond traditional physical education classes. And in the cultural context, we obviously have the EBSB art that we make students do. But even in case of a subject like dance, students learning Bharatnatyam develop not just dancing techniques, which are psychomotor, but understand Puranic stories for cognitive development, cultivate devotional attitudes for their effective development. And the HPC is capturing this holistic development through performance videos, written reflections, and peer feedback. So when you go to see, we are capturing numerous things in every single example, in every single assessment we are doing in the class. So when the concept of HPC came up, we were all in a shock about documenting the evidence for the HPC. But actually, we're already documenting it differently. Now we have to document it with this perspective in mind. Now, diverse assessment methods and tools. Formative assessment tools include continuous assessment, which includes learning journals and reflections, peer assessment activities, self-assessment checklists, exit tickets, quick checks. Performance-based assessment tools would include project-based learning, portfolio development, practical demonstrations, and real-world problem solving. Summative assessment would also include an innovative technique, creative assessment like role play and simulations, digital storytelling, art and craft exhibitions, drama and presentations, which is your creative expression, collaborative assessment, group investigation, community-based projects, cross-age tutoring, family involvement in activities. Assessment example for ancient Indian math, you can see students create a museum exhibit featuring Aryabhat's contributions, solve problems using Vedic math techniques, and teach younger students through peer tutoring, demonstrating knowledge, application, and communication competencies. Work is simple. It's already what they're doing. All schools across the nation give similar tasks to students. Just documenting it in the HPC requires application on the part of the school, the teachers, and the leadership. Competency-based rubrics and levels. So here we have replacing traditional grades with competency levels that show learning progress. You see a 4-level competency framework emerging, beginning to develop understanding with support, developing, progressing towards competencies with guidance, advanced, exceeds expectations and can teach others, proficient, demonstrates competencies independently. So I will give you an example for Hindi because I haven't taken an example from Hindi so far. A Hindi reading comprehension could have an emerging rubric, समझता है सरल वाक्य, चित्रों की सहायता चाहिए. Developing would be छोटे पैराग्राफ समझता है, कुछ मार्गदर्शन चाहिए. Proficient would include स्वतंत्र रूप से गद्यांश समझकर प्रश्नों के उत्तर देता है. एंड एडवांस वुड बी जटिल साहित्य का विश्लेषण कर अपने विचार व्यक्त करता है. Implementation tip: create rubrics collaboratively with students. Don't just have a teacher-led rubric. We are moving towards student-centric approaches. Use simple and clear language. Include student voice in defining what each competency level looks like in their own context. If students tell you which competencies would fit in there and what they are capable of doing, take their ideas. HPC could also have a digital implementation. So I'm going to show you how that could be possible. Again, that depends from school to school, area to area, kind of technology available, and leadership positions. So technology integration includes digital portfolios using a Google Workspace, video recordings of presentations, online collaborative tools, learning management system and LMS is what most schools would have, and parent student teacher portals. Mobile friendly solutions, WhatsApp groups for updates, simple mobile apps for tracking the progress of the students, QR codes for easy access, voice recordings in regional languages, photo documentation of projects. Accessibility considerations, HPC works for all Indian contexts. Keep that in mind, whether it's rural area or urban. In the rural areas, you can have offline capable solutions, SMS-based updates, community computer centers, and paper digital hybrid approach. In the urban areas, you can have full digital integration, real-time analytics, AI-powered insights, cloud storage. So I can see the chat is moving quick. There is a lot coming up in the chat. Okay, some people don't seem to be interested. Nonetheless, we continue. We hope people are interested. So digital solution example, I have this example from KV Guwahati, which uses a bilingual English Assamese digital HPC, where students upload projects as videos, teachers provide voice feedback in local language, and parents receive translated progress updates on their smartphones. So when a KV can do it, I'm sure this goes across places. Step-by-step implementation, I have given you a kind of a guideline to those schools who are currently working towards implementing it. You have foundational setting where at the first 1 or 2 months, you conduct teacher training workshops on competency-based assessment, form HPC implementation committees with teachers, parents, and students, develop school-specific competency frameworks aligned to NEP, and create an assessment rubric for each subject and competency area. And in the next 2 months, take a pilot testing, train selected teachers on HPC tools and techniques, orient parents and students about new assessment approaches, and begin documenting student competencies using multiple methods of assessment. Now, to help us out, the CBSE has given us the HPC format on the CBSE academic website, and HPCs for multiple classes have also been released. So we can follow those guidelines as well. But if you don't, if you're confused in its implementation, these are simple solutions to get started and not get overwhelmed. The third phase would be gradual expansion in the next 2-3 months, where your pilot project results are analyzed and HPC processes being refined. Then it gradually progresses to more classes. Ongoing support and professional development is provided to the staff. Establish regular review and feedback mechanisms. And within a year, you can start with a full implementation of HPC across classes and subjects, integrating with school management systems, conducting regular monitoring and evaluation, and sharing successes and best practices. So with this, we also need to look at implementation challenges, where the first most important one is teacher resistance. And the solutions, you provide comprehensive training and support to the teachers. Start with people who are willing and they are the assets to your institution. Start with them. Let them show tangible benefit through success stories and involve the teachers in the designing of the HPC framework. Another one that most schools we hear say is there is no time for all this because we have to prepare for a result-oriented board exam. So align competencies with board exam requirements. Show how competency development improves exam performance. Use HPC data to identify and address learning gaps. Prepare students for both competency and exam success. Time constraints with the 2 board exams coming in. Where is the time to do all that? I already showed you throughout today's training. Whatever we are currently doing in assessment, in the formative assessment, whether it is portfolio, whether it is subject enrichment, whether it is multiple assessment, you're integrating that assessment with regular teaching activities. Use peer assessment to reduce teacher workload. Develop efficient digital tools and templates. Focus on quality over quantity of assessments. So if your school is taking a weekly assessment in every subject, reduce the quantity, but focus on quality. Another thing, parental expectations. They are always very high. Parents, you would, if you are principals here, you would notice for every policy change that is introduced at CBSE or at the school level, you will have multiple parents walking in with protest. So conduct parent orientation workshops, keep them engaged, keep them involved in the growth of their child, share research on competency-based benefits, provide regular progress updates in understandable formats, and show how the holistic progress card prepares students for future careers. We all know that within the next 4.5 years, most of the existing careers will have vanished. So you show them how HPC is going to prepare them for some unknown career. We have a success story from Sarvodaya Bal Vidyalaya, Delhi, where initially they faced resistance in implementing HPC. They addressed it with a champion teacher program, where early adopters mentored colleagues, organized monthly success sharing sessions, developed simple templates that made assessment easier rather than difficult. We have many success stories and best practices from across the nation. So earlier I told you about KV Guwahati. I have one from KV Pune. Students worked on Smart Village project, connecting urban school with adopted village. Competencies assess problem solving, communication in Hindi, Marathi, technological application, social responsibility. HPC impact, 87% improvement in real world problem solving abilities, enhanced rural urban understanding. DPS Bangalore, multilingual learning. The innovation, students create content in English, Hindi, Kannada for local community awareness. Multilingual communication, cultural sensitivity, community engagement are the competencies being assessed. HPC impact, enhanced linguistic confidence, stronger community connections. Government High School, Rajasthan, where we spoke about the water conservation project. And you would see the HPC impact. 40% water saving achieved, traditional knowledge preservation focused. So, key success factors: strong leadership support, community involvement, teacher empowerment, student voice integration, continuous improvement mindset. Measurable outcomes: improved student engagement, better learning outcomes, enhanced parental satisfaction, teachers' professional growth, community partnership and development. This requires resources and ongoing support, but it's nothing that you can't do in your schools. Essential resources would include NEP document, NCRT competency framework, learning outcomes framework, CBSE assessment guidelines. There is a UNESCO assessment toolkit. So if you've been doing those UNESCO trainings, you would have that idea. And state-specific implementation guidelines, which the state governments give to all the schools. Online platforms like Diksha, Nishta, ePathshala, CBSE Academic Portal, regional language resources. Technical support from HPC software training, digital literacy programs, data management systems, mobile app development, which students who've taken computer and AI and Python in your schools can work on, cloud storage solutions, and professional networks, teacher learning communities like these, subject teacher associations, again, which we find at the Extra Mile platform, principal networks, parent teacher collaboratives, student leadership groups. Building sustainable support systems is a very important thing, where you have peer mentoring, established teacher-to-teacher support network, regular review, monthly progress meetings, quarterly assessments, continuous learning, ongoing professional development, innovation sharing, where you have platforms to share best practices, success stories, expert consultations, access to assessment specialists, and education researchers. So you may choose to use this roadmap and modify it to your school situation, where you have a pre-implementation checklist with stakeholder readiness as the focus. You have a resource preparation checklist where you can see assessment rubrics, digital tools, training materials, timeline, and budget allocation. A 90-day quick start plan, which I have already discussed in detail for a year, not just 90 days, but a quick start plan for 90 days. Customization tip adapted to the particular school-based action plan based on the rural-urban setting, available technology, teacher experience, community expectations. And every school's journey will be different, and that's perfectly fine. Transforming education together. NEP says aim of education is not just to make children capable of becoming good exam takers, but to become confident, capable, and contributing citizens of tomorrow. So key takeaways: HPC is holistic, not just academic. Assessment drives learning, not just measures it. Every student's progress is unique and valuable. So you don't compare a student to another student, but you compare the student's progress from day 1 to day 10. Community involvement is essential. Technology should enhance, not complicate. Immediate steps: if you haven't yet started, start now with the HPC implementation team and follow basic guidance that I have given. Vision for success: when successfully implemented in every single school, HPC will create child-friendly learning environments where children will thrive, develop their unique potential, and contribute meaningfully to the learning process. It's not just about changing assessment, it's about transforming how we understand and nurture human potential. So as educators on this platform, we commit to putting student holistic development at the center of our efforts, continuously learning and adapting our assessment practices to make them competency-based, collaborating with all stakeholders for successful implementation, celebrating every small step towards competency-based education, and sharing our learnings and supporting other educators in this learning journey. Remember, every great educational transformation started with one committed educator who believed in their students' potential. You are the change makers who will make NEP's vision a reality for millions of Indian children. Start small, think big, and trust the process. And there are multiple ongoing support possibilities which you will find on the Diksha Nishta regional offices of CBSE, as well as on the Extra Mile Education and Training platform. So with this, I make my humble submission to this August gathering of brilliant educators. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Extra Mile Education and Training for giving me this opportunity, particularly Dr. Abdul Salam and Biju Pillai sir, who've been very instrumental in various ways in bringing in complex concepts into the lives of educators, simplifying our learning and transforming all of us into the brilliant educators that this platform makes us into. With this, I'm open to question, comment, feedback, and anything else that you'd like to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, it was a very wonderful session, ma'am. Competency-based assessment, or we can say CBA in NEP 2020. Actually, it was a shift from the rote learning or the memory-based exam towards the testing students' actual skills for understanding their capacity area where they can do or they can do applicable application level questions, how practically they can do it. And the key features ma'am has explained very clearly, the competency based of how to focus on competency, not content alone. The same way, instead of asking students just to recall facts, assessment checks, if they can apply concept real life situations also. And also, ma'am very clearly told about the holistic and the 360 degree progress card. Report cards includes not just the mark, but also skill value based creativity, critical thinking, teamwork, communication, and also social emotional growth also. Now, we may give chances for the reputed teachers, those may have some doubts or clarify their queries. So let us see. Participants can just raise your hands so that in the chat box.
I see one hand raised, Ranjani P.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. You can unmute and you can.
Hi, ma'am. This is Jaypriya from NSN Memorial, and it was really an informative session. And I really got too many informations within 1 hour span of time, and we got insight. Knowledge as how we have to proceed with the holistic progress card and all those things, and that portfolio was also like it's a good thing that we are following. But my query is do we have that being followed even in the KG, from the KG level? Actually, that is what you mentioned, right? Like it is
Yes.
being
So
from KG.
CBSE has given us HPCs from foundational stage upwards.
Oh, fine. That's great. Actually, in our school, we start following it only from grades 5, 6, and above. So I just wanted to know whether if these kind of portfolios are being followed from foundational stage itself.
A portfolio you can start. I think it is good to start young. and you can develop over it. So it's a gradual shift, and by the time the child comes to grade 5 or 6, you would automatically be noticing the growth.
Growth, yes, progress of the child. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome. There was a Reshmi also who had a hand up but has disappeared now.
Yeah.
Any other query?
Good evening, ma'am. This is Jayalakshmi.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
This portfolio, ma'am, do we have any such template for each subject? Like how we have to do the portfolio? Actually, we are doing the portfolio at schools, but do we have a specific template for math, science, like that?
Portfolio is normally created keeping the students in the loop. So at the beginning of the year, the student and the teacher discuss what they would like to have in the portfolio.
Yeah.
And the best work of every child in every subject is preserved in the portfolio.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Suhalit, what is this? Suhailat TA. Are you raising a hand?
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Ma'am, it was a wonderful session. I'm Suhailat from Shivagri Vidyaniketan. So, the entire session was indeed interesting and informative. We got many additional informations which required even more clarity. Although we have heard about the holistic progress card,
Ma'am,
there was certain things that we need more clarity. So, which was all cleared. Ma'am, even I heard about that interdisciplinary approach. So, can you give some more information regarding that? It was quite interesting when you said about that happening in Rajasthan, where different subjects, how could we integrate in an interdisciplinary manner? So, can you give some more information regarding that in a
So,
practical way?
So this Rajasthan is just an imaginary example. A school in Rajasthan is following it also. But otherwise, also when you're doing rainwater harvesting in grade 10, you
Yeah.
could give a project on in geography when you're doing rainwater harvesting in grade 10. You give a project in geography and you connect it with history where they talk about the traditional water conservation methods
Okay.
right from ancient India to modern India.
Okay.
You can cover Jawaharlal Nehru's concept of temples of modern India, and you can talk about science teachers can talk about what happens when dams are constructed to the aquatic life. Construction of dams, the
Okay.
size, the
Actually, ma'am,
spatial
I'm a
awareness.
science teacher, so my
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. Can you may continue? I'll ask later.
okay. So in science also you can cover all the aquatic life and the consequences, impact of damming on the aquatic life. You can take it forward in mathematics to spatial construction and maybe measurement of dams. Why do we need to open floodgates of the dams in the monsoon? Make them think. And obviously, geography teachers would work on map creations, locations, labeling. So a lot of skills are tested. And it's a
Okay.
very good experiential learning approach. I think you had a science question.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello?
So, yeah, ma'am, hearing. I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, in the sense, if a science teacher is giving a work or assigning a task to a student, we should incorporate the knowledge of various other subjects into it. Is that what
Yes.
you meant, ma'am?
Yes, you have to incorporate knowledge of various other subjects. At the same time, you can even request subject teachers to touch upon it in their own classes so
Yeah.
that students are not left misguided, because I don't think one teacher can teach all subjects or give enough ample guidance proactively across subjects. So it's nice to be having a collaborative learning environment for the students as well.
Okay, ma'am. It is clear. Sorted. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
And the session was really informative and wonderful. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Even sorry, ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Even the same can be done during the lessons in the class. When a math teacher teaches integers, the science teacher can relate it with temperature, climate, and all that. Social teacher can integrate with the varied climatic conditions of the state or something like that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
It becomes a
Absolutely.
habit. It becomes a habit for the children to understand each topic is interconnected and cross-curricular integration happens for all.
But why are we only talking about core subjects? When you're teaching something like music,
Yeah,
a music
even
teacher
music
is
also,
teaching
yes.
maybe rhythm.
Yeah.
So the maths teacher can also incorporate that same rhythmic lesson in the class, and the
Yes,
math and
yes,
music
ma'am.
collaboration can also
Yes,
work.
yes, yes, yes. Okay,
The
thank you.
sports teacher can also include that rhythm in team games.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Any
ma'am.
other query? Yes, sir.
So I think almost all teachers have clarified their doubts. So I would like to request if Salam sir is there, just speak a few words.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Very, very informative. You have covered almost all the aspects of, competency assessment, especially assessment, and with a, reference to holistic progress card, how to go about interdisciplinary, all. Thank you so much. And yeah, the participants have, taken away a lot of things. So you did a good job, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Biju sir. Let us wind up. The other party is waiting for the link. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, Khyadi ma'am.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you very
Good night,
much.
everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
ma'am. Thank you
everybody.
all.
Good
Good night,
afternoon.
Biju sir.
Ma'am,
Yes.
yes, Khyati ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Ma'am,
evening.
just one question, ma'am.
Could I know
When we,
your name, ma'am?
yes, I'm Sunita Singh from NCS Mumbai, Navy
Okay.
Children's School, Mumbai.
Okay.
Ma'am, it was very informative and it was really gives me many points to to go further and assess the children. And just one question, ma'am. Actually, many times no, we want to recall or remember the points. So where we can refer your slides and this all the that work, ma'am, that PPT or your information, ma'am. This.
Sorry, I didn't
Uh,
get the question.
okay. So actually now
This
many.
video will be shared on our YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes, sir. Can you repeat the answer, sir?
This
This
video
video,
will be shared.
yes,
Video will be available where, sir? On YouTube, sir.
YouTube.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Extra mile YouTube.
Extra Mile and Training, Education and Training YouTube channel. Mostly by tomorrow it will be up. And if
Okay,
you've
okay.
registered for this training, you'll even get a mail saying with the video link.
Wow, great, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
So thank you so much, ma'am. So today's session has really helped all the teachers to go with the new teaching methodologies, and this really will create a new path for all the teachers to as we have already started preparing the holistic progress plan, and we have already started uh, I think almost all the schools they have covered a two MAT also. So side by side, we have to uh, correlate with their other capabilities also. So thank you very much, ma'am. Let us wind up the session for today.